Hi guys, Rob here. Part 2 of the Spyderco Manix 2 XL Odyssey/review. I left you in part 1 with all my gripes about the way this knife came to me from the factory. We talked about poor machining tolerances, poor flatness, rather shoddily made liners, a horrible edge grind, a horrible pivot, bent washers, undersized washers. Gosh, what else did we talk about? Oh, a missing screw that's present on the small Manix, but not on the Manix 2 XL, leaving nothing holding the front of the knife together. Okay. What did I do to fix all this, and where did I end up? As I discussed in part 1, I did disassemble the knife, install newer or larger custom fit polished phosphor bronze washers of a larger size, deburred all the internals so everything fit together as flatly as possible given the fact that it just wasn't very flat. And after hours and hours and hours of work, I ended up with a bushing pivot caged ball lock Spyderco that works like it should have. Almost. And then what I found was I had a pretty darn good knife. I guess I would say I backed off the angle of the approach grind a little bit from where it was from the factory, but frankly it was kind of hard to tell where it was from the factory because it just wasn't very consistent. What I've got is about a about a 17 or 18 degree approach grind with a 20 degree micro bevel. And frankly, this particular batch of S30V seems to perform very well. The heat treat seems very good. I get a hair whittling sharp edge without a whole lot of effort on the strop. It holds an edge very well. The shape of the blade is really excellent for a couple different tasks. It's almost 4 inches long, and as you can tell by the handle design, it's really made to lock your hand in a variety of grips. Some of them for utility, some of them for tactical use. You get a great natural grip for thrust cuts or hard work. Get a great reverse grip for fighting, slashing, stabbing. We have an adequately strong but fine enough tip. I think this blade should penetrate well. The satin finish is very smooth. Because of the natural grip and the angle of the blade, it's a great food preparation knife. It's a pretty good slicer. One thing I can't quite figure out though is the edge is fairly thick behind the cutting edge. I think it could be a little thinner to improve the slicing performance of the knife without sacrificing much strength, but I'm not really complaining. It is a large blade, and you know, it's not a kitchen knife. I really do like the way the handle locks the hand in a variety of grips. All of them, no matter where you move your hands, they just seem to fit well in my hand. My hands are sort of medium to large in size. One thing I will say, if you notice how broad the knife is closed, it is somewhat of a pocket hog, and it doesn't bury very deep in the pocket. You're going to have about that much sticking up. So, you know, it's not a great EDC knife. It's kind of a tactical knife, or kind of my EDC system for the day dictates that a lot of it's going to be taken up by knife, and I have some of those days. And I do like the knife. I like carrying it. I like fondling it. I like cutting with it. And it's a very good performer. One thing I will say though about deployment, it does very well if you're opening a knife like Sal Glesser does, just like that. For some of the Spidey crowd maneuvers, it's not so good. The knife doesn't grip well in the hand to be flicked open with the thumb. It kind of likes to move around a lot. It does work well with the old middle finger flip, but it's a little bit cumbersome. It's just not super comfortable for opening and closing. But it's kind of large. Just doesn't handle quite as well as the normal size Manix for opening. As far as using the knife when it's open, it's much better than the regular Manix. So overall, do I like this knife? Yes, I do. I really, really do. I like this knife a lot after I spent hours making it the knife that it should have been when it left Golden, Colorado. So was it worth my $100 and my time to have the knife that I have now? Yes, it was. It's not going to be for sale, and I enjoy it a lot. But should you buy it? Another question entirely. If you're like me and you don't mind doing what you had to do after you spent what you spent, it's a great knife to buy. If you're sort of a casual knife user, somebody who sort of appreciates knives and you like knives enough to spend $100 to get one, but then you expect to have a knife that's maybe nicer than anything you've ever bought because it's more money than you've ever spent, not your knife. For somebody who's just getting into the knife hobby, who's spending their first triple-digit sum buying a folding knife, we'd like to have you in the fraternity too much to tell you to buy one of these, because it'd be the last time you ever spent this much money for a knife. Because frankly, you can buy knives that cost half this much that are executed with more precision than this one. I hope that makes sense, because it's kind of an odd point. I have a very strange relationship with this knife, I guess. On the one hand, I love it because I know every nook and cranny, and a lot of its performance comes from what I did. On the other hand, I'm just thinking, wow, this is the same factory and the same designer that gave us the Paramilitary 2. And this knife ain't no Paramilitary 2. A couple things could have been done differently. Maybe a 5.9 ounce knife could have been a 6.5 ounce knife, and we could have had some thicker liners and Blanchard ground for flatness, and a knife that actually fills the hand a little better side to side, because it is rather narrow given its broadness, and it does feel a little odd in that regard. You know, maybe we could have done some more machining, especially in the area of the liners. We could have paid a little more attention dimensionally to this back spacer versus the height of the shoulder of the pivot bushing. Have a little more consistency there so the blade swings more consistently and smoothly. I don't know. Would I have rather paid $140 for this knife and had to do nothing to it versus paying $100 for it and making it mine? I don't know. It is what it is. And the finished product, I like a whole lot. I don't know if this review helps you. I don't know if it clears it up. Maybe you were about ready to buy a Manix 2 XL and I wrecked it for you. I hope not, because for lots of you it'll be worth the effort. That's all I got tonight, fellas. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. See ya.